Hello, hello, and good afternoon, everybody. How are you today? I am so excited for this amazing. It's not quite a training, but it's an interview, but you're going to want to take notes. You're going to want to treat this like it is a training because you're going to get so much value out of this. I am overjoyed to introduce you to my personal business astrologer, who has also become a soul sister and a very dear friend, Christina Luna. Completely has changed my perspective on on what co-creation means to me in my life and in my business. Hey, Christy, welcome, welcome. Everybody who's hopping on, please come over and say hello. Give me a hashtag replay if you're hopping on the replay, because this training is so valuable. And what I love is that it's going to be interactive as well. So I'm not just going to be asking the questions. We want you guys to say, hey, drop your sign, drop your questions, because Christina is an absolute and complete genius. And this is for you. This is 100% for you. So with that, and hello, I see you all hopping on here. I am going to bring on, drum roll, Christina Luna from the green room. Welcome, friend.
Thank you. Hi. I'm so happy to be here. It's so exciting to be talking about this right now, especially with female entrepreneurs and people who are stepping into that next level of leadership right now, which I think we all have noticed that it's changed dramatically over the last, even 6 months.
100%. And I want to share with you guys, I really do believe I lead in my life and then especially in my business from a place of inspired action and intuitive guidance. And I had a friend of mine who said, we went on a hike together and he's like, you should really connect with my friend Christina Luna. And I was like, okay, like whatever. I didn't really take it seriously. And then he said it again. He said it again. And then he finally dropped the link and said, you should really do a reading with her. And I was like, okay, it feels right. And this person is really, really encouraging that we're together, that we, connect. So I did a reading with her. My mind was so blown that I connected with her after. And I was like, I need to talk with you, period. Like, I don't know who you are, but the magic that you share with the world and how you have changed my life. And I hadn't even met her. And we'll explain like how a reading works too. And I'll show you some of the examples that I have. I was like, I need to get to know you. And I'm so glad because my entire perspective on my life and in my business and what it looks like has completely changed. And Christy, I'm so happy that you're on here. I see you in the comments. She says, I was literally just wondering who your astrological mentor was. Yep. This is, on the other side, it's Mir. This is her. Christy, you're going to find so much value in this, especially because Christy's a fellow entrepreneur who does amazing work. Oh, my reading was incredible. Who was this? It says Facebook user, but heck yeah, you guys know I'm referring like crazy to her. So I would love to know whoever said this, if you can dash your name. So anyways, back on topic, I wanted to share with you guys before we dive into it, what was this reading called, Christina, that I had done?
It was the 2021 year ahead reading. I looked at every major transit, every time a planet would move from one sign to another, and the major squares. I looked at those, I mapped it. There were 7 pages over like almost 100 different aspects that I charted for the entire year. And then I talked about what that will mean for the collective in like a storyline sort of way. And so what I did for you, Ashley, is I took that's the general energy for the year, but then I took your natal chart, which is your specific your navigation tool for how you handle every single year of your life. Like in the moment that you were born, your soul expressed itself into the material world through this moment in divinity. And when we look at that moment, we actually see the matrix, the like grid that the crystal of your life has been growing on ever since you were born. And that little crystal, that life that you've been cultivating, actually interacts with the current astrology in a very specific way. So that's why, an Aries season for one person can feel really different, like really extroverted for one person and really introverted for another, because Aries season shows up for every person in a different way. And so when a lot of the world is like launching new things, another person may be completely like cultivating an inner wisdom for themselves that looks very, very different. So what I did for you is I overlaid the current year and those aspects with you personally to find out, well, what are going to be the best seasons for you to really be receptive and really take time for yourself and really receive, and when is it going to be really good for you to begin launching, communicating with the outer world, like interfacing and starting new projects. There are specific seasons that are more optimized for each person, even though we're as a collective experiencing the same aspects.
Ah, so amazing. Okay, I have like checked out my astrology reading on like Yahoo horoscopes and stuff. Sometimes, I mean, let me know in the comments. Sometimes it's accurate and sometimes it's not. And I was like, whatever, like astrology is cool, but I hadn't been fully drawn to it until I had this reading done. And I was showing you guys this picture. I have marked up everything. I mean, this got ripped off because I use it so much. It has like puppy drool, like puppy teeth. It has tea stains on it because I literally have mapped out my launches. I've mapped out, even for my husband and I, some of our purchases, the things that we want to do based on this chart. And this isn't even the full natal reading. This is just the year ahead. So oh my gosh, seriously, Claire says that she was the one who, Christy says, sign me up. Yeah, seriously, Christy, you got to do it. All of you guys on here. And then Claire, you did a reading with Claire?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Claire is another freaking soul sister of mine. Claire, I love you so much. Absolutely incredible. We'll drop her link below so you guys can connect with her too, connect with Christina, and you can get these done. But I want to tell you that everything on here has been accurate to a T. And I kind of thought, again, like Yahoo horoscopes, maybe it'd be a little bit off. It's not. Like every single thing, even this idea of like an ego death, I was like, I wrote down on my paper the other day, I was feeling this like fear, this anxiety, this uncomfortableness, like this, like I'm breaking through something, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was, like this chaos and confusion, and just being really prayerful. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm ready to pop, ready to pop, ready to pop. And I go back to my chart, it's in there. Like it says, this is going to happen. It's like a rebirth. And listening to her recording, because she not only sends us this, but she sends us like a whole recording of what does it mean, like a translation. And she's like, you are not going to be the same person that you were a couple months ago, a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago. Like you are transforming and growing. So this is why it was so important for me to introduce her to you guys. This group is called Mediocre to Magical. If you want to elevate your life and turn up the volume, it's so much more than just what are my goals? What are my vision? Yes, you have everything that it takes inside of you. I will repeat that over and over again and shout it from the rooftop. And with that being said, reminder that we are co-creating with the universe. And like we have the stars in astrology for a reason. So why not get curious and lean into that? Yes. So amen to all of that. I have a question that is going to pop in at the perfect time because I just lost it. But with that, Christina, actually, I would love everyone who is on here. Will you please drop your astrological sign below? Because if you want to share that, then we can kind of adjust this training specifically to you. It's a training specifically to you to say, hey, what's coming up for your sign? So with that, Christina, question is, can you share a little bit on a general sense of what is expected for us this year in 2021? Now that we're rounding off May and we're moving into June, what does that look like for us?
Absolutely. And you and I spoke last week about this in a certain way. And I'm not going to repeat what I said in that because we have that recorded and it's available for people to watch. But the most important thing, especially for this group to acknowledge right now, is that we are stepping into a completely different mode of leadership. I just was on a call with a really powerful woman just before this talk. She does Akashic record readings and she's so tuned in and she has all this wisdom from this field. And yet she was still seeking wisdom to kind of understand where she was going. And that's what we're doing, right? We look to astrology to kind of get it's ironic. We look to astrology to get a roadmap of where we're going and to understand how to like pace ourselves through that journey. But what is changing dramatically right now is that the wisdom of the present moment and the body's somatic felt experience is the new way of leadership that we're approaching. And that it's when we talk about queenly, we are not talking about the concept of a queen who like rules over her kingdom in a certain way. What we're talking about is a sovereignty from within that cannot be granted to us. We must claim it. There's a sovereignty we must claim. And to break that down even more tangibly, every single moment our body is telling us hell yes or hell no, every single moment. And this supersedes any kind of timeline, any kind of like calendar event, any kind of, it supersedes everything. And what we're doing right now is, as individuals, we are finely we're tuning ourselves in through the process of pain and discomfort, because we will feel high levels of pain and discomfort if we're trying to push against our somatic wisdom, if we're trying to overcome it or like overpower it or outsmart it in some way, with even with like coffee, like I'm drinking coffee this morning. We're not doing this perfectly yet. This is the practice stage that we're in right now. We're in the like moment where we're going to see a direct reflection of every decision we make from a somatic hell yes or somatic hell no, or from a mental space of like, I just said I was going to do this, so now I have to do it. And this is what's changing right now. And it's really important for entrepreneurs, especially, to trust that, because we will spend so many resources and time and energy putting things into the system that we plan based on a formula. Like there's these beautiful formulas, right, for these launches and for how to like language and position ourselves. There's all these beautiful formulas. And guess what? None of the formulas are going to have the same, like, we're moving into a world that is different. It's not going to land the same because every person is going through this. Entrepreneurs must understand that empowering the personal experience is the way to serve people now. And so it's our responsibility as entrepreneurs and as people who are writing and serving people to do that for ourselves and to move our timelines, to honor our bodies, to trust. Like one of the examples I gave a client recently was, let's pretend that you're building a house and you've got a man and a woman on the job. And the man is responsible for ordering the materials, hiring the crew, and having the design plans for how the house is going to be built. The feminine comes in and she says, that type of wood's not going to be good. We need a different kind of wood. We can't pour the concrete today, even though it's on the schedule, because I sense that it's going to rain. Like, I believe these people should be paired together to work, even though on paper, these people look better to be working together. I feel these things, and you must value and trust my guidance right now if you want this job to go smoothly. Because if we muscle through it and just do what's on paper, we're going to end up wasting a lot of resources. We're going to pour concrete before it rains. We're going to get wood that's going to buckle and not be strong. Like there's a hyper valuing of that feminine discernment that we're all stepping into, because we have both that masculine energy that plans and the feminine energy that's like, now let me just optimize this in the current time.
Oh my gosh. I like feel myself get a little bit emotional as you're sharing that, because there's so much truth. Let me know in the comments, are you guys feeling this really deeply too? It went from, I used to feel this like not enough energy because I wasn't like fully masculine and like doing the things, right? Like ordering the materials, getting it done because it didn't feel right. And then I felt bad about it, like a little bit of shame because I wasn't doing enough. And now what I'm hearing and what I'm deeply experiencing is like the tables are turning. It's shifting. And like you're talking about that somatic experience, the value system from the masculine in the doing, it's shifting to now everybody is really valuing being and feeling and knowing and tuning into this. So if you are whoever's listening to this, share it with your friends, right? This is such an important message. You're not doing it wrong. If you're feeling it's deep in your core, like something's shifting, something's changing, you're connecting with the truth, because things are changing. We are evolving. And for some reason, I needed to hear that permission from you, Christina, of like, it gets to be different. And something else as an entrepreneur, I'm really mindful of is staying ahead of the curve. For example, with like Instagram, I'm like, man, if I would have like started using stories when they first came out, man, I'd be amazing. Or if I tried growing my Instagram when it first came out, or did Facebook Live when it first came out, darn, I'm behind the curve. And so with this, we're actually ahead of the curve by really tuning in to our body, to our needs, to that feminine energy that is leading us as we move forward into this year. So really honor that within yourself and know that you are cosmically supported as well. Like, isn't that so exciting? Yes. Christy says, I feel this so much. Me too. Like I said, I feel like I'm getting all teary-eyed. Christy says, I am Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Taurus, Leo. I'm like, those are a lot of words. Christina knows exactly what this means.
Yeah,
Leo rising. Moon Aquarius, my question, Mercury retrograde beginning today. Any advice?
Absolutely. So right now Mercury is in Gemini. So your rising is Leo. Okay, so this is happening for you in your house of all the people that are impacted by the work you do in the world, your group associations. And so there is a rewiring. Something has probably become, so first of all, let me make this, I'm going to make it specific for you, Christy, but I'm also going to make this a message for everyone who's listening. We have entered into a medicine space where all the truths that we used to hold as sacred are being dismantled for a new truth that comes from our embodied experience. So we're taking our authority away from any external resource, and we're bringing it back into the inner discernment space. And because we're doing that, it's actually changing for you with this Mercury retrograde in Gemini. It's changing your understanding of how your personal experience should be your guiding principle. So what that could look like is, wow, you know, I've had this certain process of like working with my clients up to this point, but I'm finding that when I do this, it actually is more effective for right now. And so I need to restructure how I actually use my wisdom to impact people. And so with the Mercury retrograde in Gemini in your, I believe it's in your, well, it's probably your 11th house. You're really, really like, it's perfect timing for you to be here because you're really thinking for the next 3 weeks, like with the information I know now, how do I really want to be serving people from my personal story? You're going to make it really personal. You're going to use the like juice from your own life to actually impact people. This could be like you writing a book to impact even more people. This could be, instead of using like larger concepts or universal truths or coaching mechanisms, I'm not really sure what your industry is, you will actually be more storytelling from like, well, this is how I experienced that. And this is what I learned through this process. And my life can be of service to you by me sharing it with you. And so you're making it more personal. You're taking it away from that like kind of universal law sort of space, and you're making your own experience the authority here. And everyone's transforming in their own way through Gemini. But the basic principle is we are completely changing our mindset right now on how we approach a certain thing, and using the next 3 weeks to be really fluid and pliable with your mind is the best use of this Mercury retrograde, because this is preparing us for the changeover that we're about to experience when Venus and Mars come together in July. So this next month, Mars is still leading through our emotional body. It will move into our like strong, like unique personality place where we'll really be asserting like, this is who I am. When by July it'll be moving through, it'll be midway through there. So it's already at 22 degrees. So we've got about 2 or 3 during the retrograde, really, we've got about 2 weeks where let yourself feel, let yourself emote, let yourself viscerally experience any kind of emotion you possibly can right now, because that is what's creating the changeover for us to trust our bodies even more. And so while Mars is doing that for us, we're changing our mind, we're valuing things differently, we're allowing ourselves to use our mind so that we listen to the body first rather than the plan. And it's all orchestrated so that by July 11th, we can actually like high five. Venus and Mars will come together, and then Venus will begin leading the way. And so, yeah, that's the way you can use the Mercury retrograde best, is understanding that we're moving from hyper valuing the mind's ideas to hyper valuing the body's wisdom.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. So good. And Christy, I'm just gonna backstory on Christy. She's like, I was just told this week that my posts and stories should be a book. Definitely. Christy, you are one of the most inspirational people in my social media feed. And Christy is actually kind of like a former client of mine. We co-coached in the Self-Made Mastermind together. And so like seeing it from the inside and seeing where she's at now, like freaking mind blowing. And also what I admire about you most, Christy, I want to just validate you that you are totally on the right track. is I feel, gosh, part of like psychic energy, when it's moving through you, there's like emotions, you'll get goosebumps, you'll get an aha moment. And for me, it's a lot of tears, a lot of tears. And so I feel that as I share this with you, Christy, is just like Christina was saying, is like, I see a lot of people duplicating, like they read a book from, Esther or Abraham Hicks, and then they start copy pasting it and whatever. And I'm noticing a lot of this regurgitation. And in my mind, I'm like, come up with some original content, guys. Christy, you come up with original content. And it is so amazing. And it comes from the juice of life, like Christina was saying. And so it's a reminder for all of us who are listening. And Claire, if you're still on here too, like, yeah, Claire definitely from her loins, this girl like gets this out there in the world. Like, and again, Claire's another one who I like watch all of her stories and her stuff. So thank you for being on here, and thank you for allowing me this time to like celebrate you and everyone else who's on here. Like, watch these women because they're who I look to for inspiration. And then to tap into yourself, because it can be something we can compare ourselves to others of like, look at them shining so brightly. And it's a reminder of you are on this planet right now in this moment for a reason. You have been elevated to a position such as this. You have your own juice within you, your own story, your own experience that the world needs. We had amazing leaders before who wrote amazing books and conferences and all of those things. They got us through life to where we are today. But now together, collectively, we are evolving, and it's a new paradigm, a new shift. We need new belief systems. We need new perspectives, the new juice. And this leads me to like another question, Christina. You had talked about, we're going to be going through this medicine season starting in May, if you guys are feeling it. May, June, July 11th is going to be a really big date for us. And then we'll be kind of calming down August, September, October, November. Like, we'll be kind of integrating whatever that is. So can you tell us a little bit more about that and like what that process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. But before I forget, I also want to share with you, Christy, I am also writing a book right now, and I'm publishing with a house called Awaken Village. And I would love to share that resource with you because my editor is incredible and she's super aligned, and connecting you would feel very serendipitous. So I will make sure that I get that information to you. Now, that I've been doing. So yes, this trajectory that we're experiencing, we're in this medicine space, and anyone who's ever experienced like a seminar, like if you've gone to a Tony Robbins seminar or any kind of retreat where it's very immersive, imagine that we're in that immersive container right now. Like, our life is delivering high transformation. It doesn't feel as immersive because we haven't like literally gone into a seminar space with thousands of people to like jump up and down and like create this transformation. However, our life is absolutely transforming right now. And there's a moment after that immersion where you go back to your home, you go back into your normal life, and everything seems old. Like, everything seems like I've changed a whole bunch, and now I've got to absolutely change my entire life because this doesn't reflect the person I am right now. And so from July to December, essentially, we are in that integration period where we're like, oh my gosh, everything that I understand now, I'm letting those values transform all of my decisions from this point forward. So that means that could mean everything from like, I want to have a waste-free kitchen to I have clients who are like, I can no longer sustain serving hundreds of clients in 1 hour sessions. I'm now going to serve 10 clients in an immersive container. So this is going to be like, this is what I need to be doing. Now I need to integrate that into my actual day-to-day life. And Venus will be leading that march. And what I mean by that is the guiding principle that's leading that march is the intuitive, like the body will lead, essentially. Like like what this could look like is we're not scheduling a call at 11 o'clock on Saturday. We're feeling compelled by our excitement in our body to share something important. And then we're actually following up, like following our lead, following our compulsive lead. And it's gonna be a little chaotic. Like when the feminine leads, it's not as orderly and it's not as organized and it's more chaotic and it's not as like like systematic as we would hope, as we would love it to be. But this is the beauty of nature. Nature has these natural cycles that are built into them so that chaos can ensue. When plants grow and they twine around, it looks super chaotic, but it happens for a specific season. And it's built into the equation to allow all of that expansive, chaotic, like experience to be held. And then there will be a season where it will contract it back into itself. And so we're aligning to that natural space. And so we'll take this information back into our worlds. We'll learn how to navigate our worlds and restructure our worlds. This will affect the things that we buy. This will affect, here's the thing. If your body started feeling like the type of toothpaste that you've been using tastes like metal and foams up too much in your mouth and you just don't like it, you're going to stop buying it. You're going to buy something else. And because your body is telling you, I don't like this anymore. And guess what? Can you imagine what will happen to whole industries if everyone just didn't like their toothpaste anymore? Like whole industries are going to be transformed because the choices of one person choosing a different toothpaste can overthrow, Arm & Hammer or whatever, whatever, these like huge S&P companies. So like what I'm seeing for the fall is going to be a bit chaotic. And it will be ultra super peaceful if we're able to just understand that that's the nature of life. Like we've navigated so carefully to create order within the chaos, but we are returning to chaos in a certain way. And there will be a major restructuring in many, many, many fronts. And this is predestined. We always knew, every astrologer looking at the time ahead always knew that this time was coming. Even the Mayan calendar, had this predictive way of understanding energy so that we would know that there was going to be a changeover from yin to yang. And that changeover is happening now. We've got that overlap right now where the yang is giving way to the yin. And that's a surrender to chaos, to the ability for women to create and destroy. So it's less about sustaining something and protecting something and more about, this isn't true for me anymore. I'm destroying it.
Can you guys just like feel this? I get so passionate about this. I feel like I'm so lucky to be a part of this conversation because now we know. Like if you know that the storm is coming, you're like, okay, now I can be prepared. So I'm not in panic mode and like shocked when the chaos does happen. And this isn't anything to be afraid of. I think it's another really important thing. And Christina always reminds me of that too. She's like, this isn't something to be afraid of. It's something to be mindful of and say, I'm ready. I have everything that it takes to navigate this. And also because I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs on here, it's in the coaching field as well. We are needed now more than ever. Yeah. In the fall, when the rest of the world who have not been doing the work and they don't even know how to meditate or they don't know, they're starting from scratch, like, awesome. That's what we're here for, is to support them, right? Like we're here like the energetic American Red Cross, right? Like I got you. I have the supplies. I have the tools. Mm-hmm. And I always remind myself, like we have been elevated to a position such as this. Like this is the time now more than ever to step onto the front lines with our arms open, our heart open, and really dig into like our truth of what we know works to help people. We're being called. We are being called right now. And so it's not, I feel like the chaos won't even like phase me because I know now. And my focus isn't on like, oh my gosh, the world's falling apart, because it's not, right? It's safe. But my focus is on who can I help? Who can I serve? What does that look like? What are the most valuable tools I can bring to the table? So I'd really encourage you to have that mindset as well, because where our intention goes, our energy flows. So how do you want the rest of 2021 to look like for you? What do you want to look back on January 1st of 2022? Isn't that so crazy? What do you want to look back on and say, hell yes, I did that? Through one of like a really one of the most transformative years of our lifetime collectively. How do you want to look back and say, this is how I handled it? Not only for you, not only for your clients and your friends, but for your kids. That's something, I know we have moms on here. I'm incredibly passionate about that because we are raising the next generation of leaders. And Christina, she's a mom as well. It's a sweet little Alaya. Like, we have a big responsibility. If you are watching this right now, or if you have a friend in mind that you can think of, like, this person like totally needs to hear this, I encourage you to tag them. I encourage you to share this with them. We have been elevated to a position such as this, and now we have this valuable knowledge, and we can link arms and we can move forward with confidence and courage together and be a part of this deep transformation.
And I'm so happy that you brought that up also. So something that I knew when I was doing all these 2021 readings back in December was, whenever there's a medicine circle and people are sitting in the circle going through that transformation, there's always helpers along the sidelines. There's always people who, this is not their first rodeo. They have definitely walked in these shoes before, and they're holding space while in the medicine themselves. And so being in the medicine yourself, being in the know that like your life is also being transformed by holding the space for the other. That is the position that we are all standing in, that position that you're talking about, that we've been called to. We wouldn't be in this space together if there wasn't this calling. Like, we have it inside of us. We've been positioned to serve. We wouldn't be chosen as entrepreneurs. We wouldn't have felt that calling if we didn't know that we had to create the sovereignty for ourselves. We had to create the flexibility. We had to create the ability to respond in any natural way without any kind of authority telling us how to do that. We've positioned ourselves so that in real time, we can hold a space however we feel we need to. Whatever that guidance is in that present moment, we can hold that space. And while people are transitioning, the value system on a fundamental level is what's changing. And when people change their values, they immediately want to change their lives, and they'll want to prioritize intimacy with their families. They'll want to prioritize recalling their time. They'll want to prioritize owning their self-worth and their gifts and delivering them to others. And so we are modeling that for them by being it, and we are empowering them to step into that space themselves. And it's not just queens, it's all beings. All beings are stepping into sovereignty. All beings are stepping into the I am enough because I'm alive space. And that is the gift that we can remind people of as we emerge through the second half of the year.
So good. So you guys in this academy, you've heard me drip out a little bit every couple of days, right, about the Queenly Entrepreneur Program. And a huge aspect of that is my belief around full life wealth. And I'll give you a little background. Like, the Queenly Entrepreneur, I actually bought the domain name a couple years, like 2 or 3 years ago. I started a Facebook group. No one was in it. It was just me and like my best friend. That was it. But I knew it was going to be something that was so huge. I didn't know what it was until this year. It's finally coming to fruition. And it's been really intuitive as it's coming in. And just to echo off of what Christina was saying, with the full life wealth and why this is the time now more than ever. Before, it felt like the value was what car you drive, or how fancy your purse was, or how voluptuous your lips are, or how long your extensions are. Like, that felt like the value system of what success meant, right? But I really do feel that there's no point in having a multi-million-dollar business, but a $2 relationship with your kids. There's no point in like being the super successful CEO, but your health is completely tanked and you're sacrificing, your well-being in order to make that work. Like, that's not wealth. That's not success. So what Christina is saying is like, full life wealth, like the value system that we had before, is shifting. Like, now is the time to really start listening to what is your body saying? What is it that your mind needs, right? And when we do that, that is success. And it's so interesting because it's that in the most quiet moments, right? When we're getting our 8 hours of sleep, no one really celebrates us, right? But that's actually a form of success, right? Like, being really present with what is it that I need? Maybe it's your meditation, maybe it's playing with your kids, whatever that is success. Like, that is part of this, like, this new paradigm that we're moving into. Feels so good. I want to read some of these comments here. I see we're like, yes. This one right here, it says, this resonates. I went into panic mode last night and was like, that's it. I'm out. Bad communication for me, total flight and no calm. So I'd love to discuss this with you, Christina. What I can say is it's okay. and it's normal, right? We always have the opportunity, number one, to validate our own emotions because your body and your brain are just trying to protect you. That's what it is. So there's no shame in that. There's no guilt in it. It's okay. So hold yourself in a warm embrace and remind yourself that you're okay and that it's safe because you have everything that it takes to navigate the situation. I think that's number one. And then number two is asking yourself, what is it going to take for you to feel really safe? Is it tuning into trainings and interviews like this? Is it connecting with me? Is it connecting with Christina? So you have somebody in your corner. What does that look like for you? So that way we have the opportunity to choose again. And maybe we have some support to realign our mindset with a better belief system. So somatically we can experience that safety and know that it's true moving forward. So that you can drop it in the comments, or you can, just really keep that a rhetorical question that you're keeping to yourself. But I'd love to know, Christina, what is your feedback on this?
Like, I also, I want to say this is exactly what we can expect to feel right now, because what is happening, the alignment of everything is making us face all of our blocks to intimacy with ourselves. There are parts of you that have been very protected, that are so vulnerable, that are so like they've been wounded in the past, they have been hurt. They are true parts of you that have been scared. Some of them are in cages. Like, these parts exist. And what's happening right now is the circumstances of our life are trying to liberate those parts. And our life can do that with our relationships, with our money, with our health. Like, there's a scary dragon in every person's life right now that is saying, I'm going to find that person that you're hiding and I'm going to liberate that person, but I'm going to scare the hell out of you on my way there. And so this panic mode that you're talking about is part of the medicine. It is absolutely mandatory. If anyone's ever been through any kind of plant medicine ceremony, that panic where the ego is like, doesn't want to let go and is like, I've been protecting these vulnerable parts my entire life, I can't let go. That's what's being liberated. That's what's being overpowered by the dragon, which is the medicine. And our fear is actually a gate. And so this panic and this flight and this space of no calm, that's actually your sentinels that you've put in place through all of your conditions. Those sentinels are being challenged right now because they're protecting this very, very, very vulnerable part that we don't even have an intimacy with, that we caged a long, long time ago because we became a different version of us that didn't have to be like that. And wow. I'm facing this in my life as well. Like, I'm so in it. I know. And dragon looks a little bit different. Everyone's got this certain way. It's the thing that you're most afraid of is going to be the thing that's showing up right now, or the thing you value the most is going to be the thing that challenges you the most right now. And so just know that you're absolutely, what Ashley said, you're absolutely doing it perfectly right. That's how you know you're actually facing the dragons and you're passing through these gates. And so the key is, who is that person that we're protecting ourselves from?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I would highly recommend, sometimes when we listen to interviews or trainings like this, we'll write something down or we'll just hear it and we'll say, oh, that's cool. And you never touch it again. I highly recommend that you write that down and sit with it. And maybe it doesn't come through right away. So you sit down with it tonight and then you try again, because it's going to be revealed, whether you consciously know it or not. Like, it's coming, it's happening, it's going to show up for you. And so I would encourage you to really spend time with that. And I need to spend time with that too, which is,
And I can get the wheels running. I'll just give a very brief anecdote from my own life. Yesterday, I discovered that I'm highly resilient and independent because I'm super afraid of needing someone to meet my needs. And I'm in a new intimate relationship with someone, and he said, I feel like your need for independence is actually keeping us from some really amazing experiences that we could have intimately. And I took that as like, wow, is my independence keeping me from experiencing a human, like a really beautiful treasure of intimacy because I'm afraid of needing someone and being dependent upon them for meeting my own needs. I'm so independent in so many ways so that I'm not vulnerable in intimacy. And what if I'm missing a huge treasure of the human experience by being so independent? So my dragon is actually like needing someone. My dragon is actually like letting someone meet my needs. And
Wow.
and so it's so intimately personal for each person, but I wanted to share that because this could spark for you like there's a really being independent is an amazing trait. I'm all about sovereignty and independence. I'm all about it. I'm a Virgo stuff going on, like let me be an individuated soul here. And is that actually keeping me from some key emotional and intimate experiences that could actually elevate my human experience more than it's like what I deeply crave more than anything.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to share that there's nothing wrong with my independence. And what if I can hold it with my vulnerability?
Oh, that's so good. Thank you for sharing that, because I think we really need those intimate, like juicy details for us to really apply it to our life. So, a follow-up question for that, we're preparing that there's going to be this chaos. It's healthy chaos, and it's going to be restructuring. So it's safe. It's like construction outside of our house. It's annoying. What's happening, but something really beautiful is going to come of that. How are you personally, we talked about like journaling, like to write it out and to go deeply. How are you preparing for this year? Like what practices do you have in place to help keep you grounded as we navigate all the things that are going to be flowing throughout the rest of the year?
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what's kind of crazy. The first year I knew that it was like preparation for the medicine. And so I went on like a really like a very Virgo-y dieta or like regimen, right? So I was getting 9 hours of sleep every night. I was tracking everything with my Apple Watch. I was jumping on my trampoline for 30 minutes every single day to get my lymphatic system going. I was drinking celery juice every single morning with lemon juice and like just eating like this medical medium protocol. I was doing all of this. Then I entered into intimate relationship with someone who was like a bit very different from me. And I let it all go. And like, it was a total surrender. I would love to tell you that I'm still doing all these practices, but guess what? I stay up late at night and talk about crazy shit and listen to songs on Spotify. And like, I just surrendered completely to the chaos of this new relationship. And I let go of a lot of these rituals because it was part of my rewilding process.
Yeah.
I'm deliberately rewilding. I'm deliberately allowing myself to have these raw experiences, and I'm a little more tired, and I have a little less tact, and I'm a little bit more authentic, and I'm just a little bit more like animal, and I'm a little smellier because I'm not eating as clean, like there's all. So how am I preparing? I'm preparing by fully surrendering to the human experience. Like my body says, let's have sex right now. We do. Like I want to make out in the kitchen. I'm like it's really raw and it's really uncharacteristic for me as a Virgo to like let all of that go. And now I'm understanding which pieces I need to reintegrate. So it's like it feels like I'm naturally craving some of these elements to come back into my life, and I'm letting them come back naturally. I'm not forcing them. I'm not being that authoritative, like drill sergeant to myself at all, because I know that there's something to the messiness of like the rewilding process that I crave deeply. So that's how I'm preparing for it.
That is, God, that's so good and so juicy, because I do the same thing as far as like, the medical medium protocol and like the checklist items. I have it on here somewhere. Oh, here it is. What's my daily ritual? Like I have it on here. Ding, ding, ding. But it also, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm surrendering. I'm being my best self. But it's actually feeding my desire for control. And there are those moments, right, where like even last night, Farhad and I had a date night and we were watching a show and I was like, oh, I could be working. Like I was like, Ashley, actually surrender to that. Like it's okay to take a day off. Like it's okay to just snuggle with your husband. Like it gets to be and so that's part of mine right now. Like I don't know if it's my rewilding it's just calming down my wild. But I love what you're saying, because I really do believe, I think it's a delicate term to say like feminist, because there's like all these PC things around it. But I have this huge passion around women and the feminine energy, and how we were wild and knowing and all of these things, and courageous and big and loud, because we were able to be insensual. And then what happened is, over time, with like witch hunts and all these things, women who had gifts were silenced, they were murdered. And then all these other things, like then we went to being like tied up in corsets to where we could barely breathe and we could barely move, and women had to go to these finishing schools so we knew how to nicely, set the table. What the fuck? Like, that's not who we're meant to be. And there's still part of that now when we see in magazines and TV about the shape. And I know Claire, she's on here, she's like, heck yes, she talks about this a lot, about what we're supposed to look like, and the chiseled jawline, and the thin. No, we're not. We have boobs, and we have wrinkles, and we have stretch marks. Like, that's all of who we are. And I feel like part of the shift is accepting the wild parts of us. There's a beautiful song by Lizzie Jeff, and there's a line that always sticks with me. And she says, bleeding on the earth is tribal. No, she says, free bleeding on the earth is tribal. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh, snap, what? Like, what a weird thing to say, But when I think about it, some of you guys might be like, okay, we're taking it to the other extent. But here's what I want to invite you to step into is, what does your rewilding look like? Because it's probably going to feel chaotic, but this is the time for us to experience it in our own way. Doesn't have to be free bleeding on the earth. Tribal, right? But it could just be making out in the kitchen, or it could, whatever that looks like for you, but honor it, because that's who you are at your core. Society has trained us to be thin and exhausted and busy. And if we haven't accomplished those three things, then we're not worthy. And like what Christina and I are saying is, like, cosmically, we are redefining that. So permission to step in and to rebalance and realign with that, like, that inner, like, true self. Can you guys feel this? I like feel it so deeply in my core right now. Awesome. So with that, so we talked about how can we prepare them. Let's talk about July 11th. That I was going to ask, like, what is the most significant date for people to look out for? And so is July 11th like the most powerful one, or what is there something else in the fall? Just so we can mark it on our calendars.
Yeah. Well, actually, June 14th is a big day. It's the second of three major Jupiter-Saturn squares, or I'm sorry, Saturn-Uranus squares. So June 14th is going to be a day where we just, like, there will be a line that we step over that we're never going to step back. For everyone, it's going to feel a little bit different, but there's like this story around our self-worth, around what it means to be a human, what it means to be mortal, what it means to be alive. There's going to be a line. And up to that point, we've been like, oh, somehow we're inherently flawed. Somehow there's something like, I don't know, I have to fix this. I have to be more, this is what's like bubbling to the surface right now, like kind of like cystic acne. And when we get to that point on the 14th, we're going to be like, oh, I'm stepping over that line and I'm never looking back. And that's a turning point in that medicine moment. So the leading up to the 14th, know that all of that will be triggered and challenged, like during the Mercury retrograde. So we're going to be triggered and challenged on all of our worthiness in relationship to our interface with the outside world. So it's a time for public conversation. It's a time for like, well, how do I feel when I put a story on Facebook, and how do I feel when people perceive me? It says, looks like I've been rewilding all May. It's going to reflect. So like really, like in the context of rewilding even, like, am I valuable just even when I'm not, when I'm wild? Am I even more valuable and raw even when I'm wild and when I'm not like doing all the things right? Like, is there some value to the messiness of the chaos that I'm experiencing through this wilding process? And can I step over the line to never feel like I ever have to domesticate that wildness ever again. And so I believe we'll step over that line on the 14th. And that is the next, I don't know, 20 days, 20 days or so is like owning it more and more and more as Venus is gearing up to join with Mars and Leo. When Mars and Venus join in Leo, they're doing it at the same time that the sun and moon conjoin for the new moon. And that's like full on masculine feminine principle coming together in the place of sovereignty. That is the ownership of what it really means to be a human and on this kingdom. There's something that we've sort of lost touch with, and we can go all the way back to Genesis. We can go all the way back to the origin story of who we are as humans to reclaim this. And we're reclaiming it one person at a time. I cannot tell you what that looks like. Only you can. And so that date, yes, the 14th, that's the line where we step over and we like, oh my gosh, like I can let all of my being be present here, all the things I've ever been ashamed of, all of the humanity of me. I can let it all be here and know that that's where the value really is. And now that I know that, I can step into this union of creating my experience on this planet with every present moment. I get to be and I get to interact with every present moment from that wild space. And I don't have to take myself away from it with my mind.
So delicious. I am, am I valuable even when I'm wild? Like, I'm just like writing down these quotes for you. I was like, wow, am I? I see some girls, they don't shave their armpits and I'm like, good for you. But I like think I'll do that. And really, because I probably feel like I wouldn't be valuable if I allowed myself to be that wild. Is that crazy? What I've been programmed with? And like, are we ready to shift that? Let's see this. I've been feeling a tug to go exploring alone. No worries, I'll bring my psycho dog for protection, just no other humans. My fiance is out of town for the weekend, and I'm taking this as a massive sign that I should head out west for the next 2 days. Thank you for the wild wisdom. Yes, Queen, who is this? Who is this? I want to know who you are, Facebook user. That's amazing. And yes, I would encourage, bring a notebook, bring a pen, because sometimes when we're in those beautiful, you don't have to, but when we're in those beautiful spaces, we tap into a different level of consciousness, a different area of our brain, of our experience, and then we integrate into the world. It's really great to reread that and be like, oh, right, there she is. Because sometimes when we go back to normalcy, we get back into our old patterns. I know I can speak on behalf of both of us. We are so excited for you, Christina and I are, because I know that's when the magic happens. And honestly, I think I need to do the same thing. I told Farhad, I'm like, I love you. I love Mochi. I love Presley. And I think I need to just take a little break so I can just recalibrate and not be mom, not be dog mom, not like chase around a little puppy who's chewing on everything. So this is your time. Take that space, which is really good. So this leads me to my next question, Christina. I know we're wrapping up here. Oh, Sadie, I love writing this. Oh, let me see. I love writing while I'm in the woods. My best work happens there. So Sadie is an incredibly amazing woman on my team. Thank you so much for helping create the promotional content for this event. Yay! So this leads me to my next question, Christina, is so in the Queenly Entrepreneur Program, there are many different we have 6 phases in this. It's a year-long mentorship. It's a metamorphosis where we really dive into clearing the top abundance blocks that keep us from manifesting, and then also allowing us to step into our most queenly selves and our queenly leadership in both our life and our business and beyond as families, etc. We're really tapping into that whole life wealth. So one of the what I'm most excited about phases is energy leadership. And the intention of energy leadership is, you guys know, I've gone to psychic school. I worked with 2 of the top psychics in the world. So I really do understand energy. I do psychic healings, things like that. But I don't really like when people come to me as their healer. I mean, I'm open to do that, but I really do believe that I'm not a healer. I'm just a vessel for the healing to come through. And therefore, everybody else, if they can learn those tools as well. So the idea of this phase of energy leadership is really understanding how to clear our energy, understanding what trapped energy is, how to, identify where some of the gaps, not only in our belief system, because that's more mindset, but from an energetic perspective, where are the gaps that are allowing these toxic energy vampires to either leech or to get trapped in our space. So tying this into astrology, Christina, why do you feel like this year, now more than ever, is so important for us to be true leaders with our energy system and how we relate to others in the world?
Well, okay. We cannot fully lead with our bodies and our somatic sense if we are not really paying attention to it. And some things that would take us out of paying attention to our body would be like, yeah, not honoring certain parts of us literally because we can't feel those parts of us, because we've created like spaces between our awareness and the parts of us. And we all do this. We've been doing this ever since we were born. And so if we want to fully step into like, I feel like I want to give you a metaphor. I know we only have 4 minutes left, but like there was a moment when I was worried that maybe like there was a wounded part of me that was keeping me from an intimate moment. And I was like, oh no, I must be toxic. I must have a trauma. There must be something. What if this person, either I'm messed up or they're messed up and I don't know which one it is. And so what do I do? And the awareness that came through was, it doesn't matter which one's toxic. You're just feeling this right now. The feeling is the wisdom. And what I learned in that moment was the label of toxicity was actually keeping me from just having the feeling I was having, and that there was no judgment of that feeling whatsoever. And that feeling actually helped me to make a decision, not from my rational mind, not because like if I would have used my rational mind instead of the feeling, I would have been like, okay, either I'm blocking intimacy with this person or they're a bad person, right? Like my mind would make these meanings instead of actually feeling the feeling and letting the feeling say, what does this feeling really need? Well, what the feeling really needed was for me to acknowledge it and hold it and let it cry and let it be scared and let it just be what it is without me labeling it. And once I did that, the decision that I needed to make was easy. The leadership I needed to make in my life was easy. And so now more than ever, that leadership is being called upon. And so it's really, really important that we find all the little ideas that we have around. It's all the stories we have right now that keep us from actually honoring these little tiny feelings and experiencing them all the way to their fullness, and letting those feelings be the impetus for movement.
Yes, so good. And piggybacking on that too is like when we really understand our energy for in a relationship to ourselves, to our family, to our world, to our work environment, we realize like emotions, for example, they come and go. Like the energy, it moves and it flows like dancing through our body. So we get to recognize, is this mine? Is this theirs? Is this something I want to hold on to? Is this something that I want to let go? Is this something that I need to hold and say, are you scared? I'm here for you. Let me listen to this message. Let me listen to this fear so that way I can calm it. Right? I see this like little itty bitty bunny that's like, you know, they like breathe really fast. And then we're like, shut up, get in there. I'm going to keep doing life stuff. And it's like, no, with energy, when you deeply understand it, it's a language. It's a translation of your inner truth. So you take this little bunny. Wasn't that so sad? I hope you all really are intimate with your emotions. It's just a sad little bunny, okay? You spend time with it and you say, what is it? Tell me what is your fear? And you just hold it to your heart and say, it's okay. We're going to get through this together, whatever it is. And when you know that energy, it's integrated and it gets to be calm. That's one of the aspects too. The other one is with all of the outside chaos that is going to be happening. Again, nothing to be afraid of, just to be really mindful of. It can be, oh my gosh, this happened a whole lot in 2020. I got scared because of what other people were saying and what other people were doing and like all of the theories that were going on. And thank goodness I knew how to manage my energy and identify what was mine and what was theirs. So when the world was going in this crazy spin of chaos, right, I knew how to distill and how to clear and cleanse so I can be really grounded in my truth. So I could show up for my family and for my clients who definitely needed that support. And so moving forward this year, I feel it's definitely going to look a little bit different, right, than what we had last year. So not comparing it to that, But when you are truly a leader with your own energy throughout this time, it allows us to show up even more powerfully and more potently for our clients, for our friends, for our family. So just really being mindful of that, because again, this is a co-creation. It's not just me, but it's like, okay, let's talk about like the stars and cosmically what is to come and how can we partner together so we can really move through this year with confidence and courage and grace. Ah, that feels so good. Does that feel good and complete for you, Christina?
Yeah, it does. We can't screw this up. That's the other thing.
Oh yeah.
We just can't. Like, we are absolutely, even if we make a decision from our mental self and like our old ways or whatever, the universe has this excellent way of like course correcting us. And so our pain is our ally right now, because it'll help us to like re-navigate like all of these things. Like, that's the main thing I would like to leave everyone with is we really can't screw this up. If we're alive right now, we have chosen to move through this. And there are a lot of people who have exited the planet recently, and they're having a completely different experience of these energies, and they're guiding. They're like, we don't know the expansiveness of what that actually means, but if we're alive right now, we're doing it perfectly. That's it. And there's some assurance there, and that's part of that lesson that we're learning about the wilding process. We're doing it perfectly if we're alive. That's all that we were meant to do.
Yes, so good. So, Christina, thank you so much for your wisdom, so much for everything that you shared with us today. Like, I felt the emotions, I felt the tears, I felt so many things, because any conversation with you just really, it's so much truth. I did just drop her link. By the way, if you guys would like to connect with her, it's in the comments. Lunation Live, you can check her out on Instagram. I like post about her all the time in the Mediocre to Magical Academy, so you can see that. And then also, I want to invite you to come to, you're in the academy, so you're going to see the live trainings. It's actually a 5-day challenge that we have next week. Seriously, I've been preparing for this like my whole life. I mean, really, for the past 3 years, I've been preparing for this training. And so really excited to drop it for you guys, share it with you. This is the long form of it. But you can get your tickets for the 5-day challenge starting Monday through Friday. And it's all about aligning your energy to manifest 20K months in your life and in your business. Because I've had clients, you don't just have to be an entrepreneur making it through your business. You can be a professional who makes it through commission. I've had a client who received $20,000 as a realtor, straight, a $20,000 check. Another client who received $20,000, her husband got a bonus, right? So she's not an entrepreneur, but her husband got it. And so I say 20K, but it's a number. It's just a measure. So what we're talking about, it's not like the marketing and the strategy of how to get 20K. We could cover that too, because I help my clients do that. Obviously, that's why my clients get it. But it's more so about aligning your energy with the frequency of abundance, and not just happiness and joy and bliss, because like that's foundational. Heck yes, we're going to start there. But it's also turning up the vibrancy. So we're manifesting crazy things like 20K months, like 50K months, that I haven't done yet. But once I get there, I'm going to show you how and what that looks like. But anyways, next week we have these amazing trainings. So if you wanted to, it didn't drop the link, so I'll drop it after this. If you wanted to join, you can register via the link I will drop very soon, and you'll see it in the academy. And I also want to say one more thing as we wrap this up. I sought counsel from Christina in developing this program, and she came over to my house, and I was just like sharing, and she was echoing back and forth about the importance of this. So I didn't know if you had anything to add to that, Christina, but I wanted to spotlight you, because obviously you see all of her wisdom, and I feel like this program has really been blessed by her as well.
Absolutely. The way that you structured it, you put it into a very organic flow so that it builds upon itself the way that nature builds upon itself. So this is the type of service that we're providing as female leaders right now. We're actually aligning to the natural cycles, and we're building things from the ground and foundation up, from the body up. So the fact that you innately stepped into that yourself, and you took this 3 years or how many years it was to like actually get to that place yourself so that it could flow in this organic way. So I'm just really excited for what you're creating and what all of us are doing for our clients right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's on here and watching and participating. Again, if you guys made it to the end, give us a hashtag replay. Tell us your favorite part. I feel so inspired and lifted, and I hope that you have an amazing Saturday or whatever day you're watching this, filled with an amazing day full of amazing things. All right. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Bye.